Hello, Port Colborne. I hope that you're enjoying our Heritage Garden YouTube series. In last week's video, we provided an update of our garden, and as you could probably tell, our garden is quickly developing and is almost ready to be harvested. In last week's video, I mentioned that we have various herbs in our garden. So without any further ado, this week's video will talk about herbs within our garden. Before diving into the herbs in our garden, it is important to have a basic understanding of what an herb is. An herb can be defined as any plant with leaves, seeds, and flowers that are used for aroma, medicine, food, and flavoring. There are a tremendous amount of benefits for growing your own herbs in your garden. After listening to this video, you might be convinced to start your own herb garden at home. With most herbs, it is best to pick them right before they start to flower. Then to preserve herbs, you should wash the leaves off, shake off the excess water, leave them to dry separately on newspaper or drying sheets, and then wait for them to be completely dry. You can tell if your herbs are dry if they are brittle and crumble easily. This drying method was a traditional and common method used to preserve and dry your herbs. Generally, herbs have three different purposes. The first one being culinary or cooking. Many herbs such as dill, rosemary, and mint can be used for culinary or cooking purposes. Secondly, herbs are used for their aroma. For example, lemon balm, lavender, and geranium are all fragrant herbs. Lastly, they were and are often used for their medicinal purposes. This includes the use of chamomile and wormwood and various other herbs. Let's check out our herbs in our garden and see the modern uses of them.
Within our heritage garden, we have 8 different types of herbs. Firstly, we have English lavender growing in our garden, which is displayed on the screen. This herb is a semi-hardy to hardy perennial. It can grow to be 1 to 3 feet tall, and it grows the best in sandy or alkaline soil. This lavender still needs time to grow. And interestingly enough, it is only recommended to water lavender if your garden is experiencing a dry spell. The picture on the screen shows our chamomile herb. This is a hardy perennial, which will grow to be about 4 to 15 inches tall. This herb thrives in well-drained soil and should be planted in a somewhat shady spot. Chamomile will not need much attention or care once it is planted. Yarrow is typically found in North America growing in the wild. This herb will pretty much adapt to whichever type of soil you plant it in. This herb should be placed in a sunny spot. Mint generally does best in damp soil. It is a hardy perennial that grows to be about 2 to 3 feet tall. Spearmint, apple-mint, and peppermint are the most common strands of mint. One common issue with planting mint is that the herb will likely spread throughout your garden. To prevent spread, one suggestion is to sink 12-inch boards around the planted area in your garden. The image on the screen helps us to identify 2 different types of herbs. Completely surrounded by the large mint herb, we can see lemon balm also developing within our garden. Lemon balm is a perennial within the mint family. During the spring and summer months, small white flowers full of nectar develop. It is highly fragrant and grow 2 to 4 feet tall. This herb can range anywhere from 2 to 5 feet tall. The blooms and seed heads of this plant will attract butterflies and other pollinators. The best location to plant St. John's wort is somewhere with bright sun in the morning and is covered by the shade in the hottest part of the afternoon. Typically, they will grow to be about 1 to 3 feet tall. This plant may grow up to 6 feet tall or 2 meters. All parts of the lobage herb can be used in a variety of ways. Solomon's seal has been growing around the fence of the shark log cabin. This perennial can grow up to 3 feet tall and prefers to be planted in a shady area.
Cooking with herbs has been a long-standing tradition used throughout time. Looking at our garden, we can use the mint as a culinary. Mint releases flavor into food. It does this by producing a cooling, lingering effect on one's palate. It also adds sweet herbal flavor into beverages and dishes. It is suggested that elaborate herb gardens were planted in Europe during the time of the Renaissance. This is due to the curiosity and fascination of herbs' involvement in medicine. Herb gardens were planted in the Far East before they were planted in Europe. Through communication and travel, Europeans adopted this nature and started to plant their own herb gardens in their country. Settlers eventually carried this tradition into Canada and America. I hope that you enjoyed this introductory video of herbs within the garden. In this video, we have identified the herbs in our garden and have examined some of the more modern uses that they still possess. In next week's video, we will continue to talk about herbs. We will look at historic, traditional, and typical uses of herbs in the 18th century.